Very difficult to say. From what I've seen from Xiaoling, she plays very close to the table, and she has a lot more variation in spin than her counterpart Michelle or even Ellen. I have not seen Erica Tran in action. A little bit more about that?
Definitely. Well, as we saw in the match earlier in this team competition, the singles, she had a tough time dealing with the aggression of her NYU opponent. Aggression is so important in singles, but it does play very differently in a doubles competition. The game becomes more so how well the players can work together. You get to see the chemistry of different players.
And that's a large part of doubles too. Having that chemistry with your partner and being able to, we've said it time and time again, being in sync with your partner, and it's almost like a dance,
Definitely. Footwork becomes especially important. Ellen and Erica were actually the 6th seed in the women's doubles competition.
And greater than that is that Michelle and Xiaoling are the 7th seed, separating them only by 100 points in total.
UC Berkeley, definitely a very consistently dominant program in women's team competition. They have actually, let's see, they finished at the 2014 championships and the 2015 championships in 2nd place both years. We consistently see from them a number of players above the 2000 level. Even this year without Lily Zhang, they still are a force to be reckoned with.
Ellen with the serve.
Good movement from both teams before Berkeley eventually is tied up.
We're going very, very fast into the doubles match. No need for warm-up right now.
We see here in this doubles match 4 righty players, with neither school able to take advantage of that righty-lefty pairing that does benefit players in doubles.
We've said before that in doubles we do want to see a good amount of variation, as we saw yesterday from the men's double team, Zhang and Qing Wei Sun from Mississippi College. One's a lefty and one's a righty, and both have incredible forehands.
Definitely, and that lefty-righty combination allows the athletes to spend a little less effort on footwork, both naturally spaced on their forehand sides. With 2 right-handed players, as we see an umpire issue a service warning for height. With 2 right-handed players, you'll see a lot more rotation around each other, and definitely, like we saw on that first point of the match, when players get tangled up as matches turn in, or as rallies turn into counter looping bouts far from the table. It definitely gives you something to shoot for, tying up your opponent. In response to a comment from the YouTube stream asking about co-ed matches, we will, coming up on this table as soon as the doubles match is concluded, see players from the Texas-Michigan team bout that is beginning on table 2 step in and begin a match on this first table as well.
6-6. And it is Berkeley with the serve right now. I think you see Ellen tripped over her own foot there for a little bit.
Very, very low spinny shot, kicking under the paddle of the NYU player. Heavy topspin balls can be difficult when they're up high, but even low to the table, they can be more deadly.
Good over the table forehand flip.
Definitely, and that's the danger of using a tomahawk-esque serve as we saw from Ellen. The spin on that ball naturally pushes the return to the forehand corner of the table, and your doubles partner has a difficult time generally making that return. And we have deuce in the first game of this doubles match.
This is a certainly exciting doubles match we're seeing right now.
You can't get more exciting than deuce in doubles in the 5th game of the teams. Oh.
A little help with the net there.
And with a powerful forehand loop, Ellen Hwang wins the first game of the doubles matchup, 12-10 for the Berkeley team.
Great rally by both girls. So going into game 2, what do you think that NYU has to do right now in order to mix up Berkeley's strategy?
Definitely. We saw a very close game 1. That could have gone either way. And we saw the lucky net ball break for the Berkeley team, tied at deuce, and then a strong attack that did win them the first game. However, that really was anyone's match. We saw great. NYU did very well when we would see that cross-table, side-to-side play in terms of their shot selection, forcing the Berkeley players back and forth. When they play to the same spot, rotate back and forth very quickly and easily, and it doesn't cause them as much trouble.
And you see with Ellen, we've said it before that she likes to take a little further back and take a little bit more time on, but she has an incredible spin and an incredible speed load.
Yeah, dropping very low to the ground.
Right. And in doubles, you do have a little bit more forgiveness, a little bit more time to get back there in order to return that ball. As we see there.
Yeah, very, very low to the ground.
She's doing a full-on squat in order to take that ball, almost at knee level.
Oh, and a backhand punch that can't quite convert. To help explain some of the differences between the NCTTA and the US ATT rating system, the truth is that both function very similarly. You gain points from wins, you lose points from losses. The difference being that you gain NCTTA rating points from competing in NCTTA divisionals, regionals, and the nationals tournaments, whereas US ATT rating points are gained through competition in US ATT sanctioned tournaments. Therefore, players can have differing US ATT and NCTTA ratings if, for example, they were to compete in regionals or nationals, but then go play US ATT tournaments during the off season for the college players. That NCTTA rating wouldn't be adjusted until they matches in their next NCTTA competition.
Wow, very heavy topspin from Xiaoling over there. And I clips the edge of Erica's blade.
Celebration. Celebration from the Berkeley team. We'll see on the replay there, that powerful forehand down the line shot with both NYU players pushed to that right side of the table.
And here you see Erica unloading a big forehand down the line. Ball goes flying out of the court.
Yeah, home run, but no points for home runs in table tennis. Oh,
great rally.
Incredible movement from both teams.
Big point for NYU.
See here, rotating back and forth, how quickly the players move in and out after making their shot. And when we talk about chemistry in a doubles team, we see players not just meshing in terms of style, but meshing in terms of movement. You need to know and trust that your doubles partner is going to get out of the way for you to make that powerful attack, like we see there from Erica.
Great forehand across the table from the backhand side.
That's that shot we've talked about so much over the tournament. Very difficult to do. It does open you up a little bit, but in doubles, you have a partner there who will be returning the next ball, so not quite as risky.
Wow, that's a great point. 7-7 in game 2. Ellen with the serve. See a little frustration in Erica as she misses that hit.
Yeah, she wanted that to go on. You play shots like that so much in practice. The scream of celebration as Berkeley takes the point to go up 9-8. Only 2 points away from taking the second game in this doubles competition. As the ball rolls to the corner, the players get a little extra chance to discuss strategy.
Oh! And Erica hits a backhand falling to the floor.
Look at that right there. Nearly disappearing below the table.
And Ellen not quite connecting her forehand.
And deuce again in this second game.
This match is as close as you can get it.
When we talk about composure from athletes, pressure doesn't get higher than this. Deuce for the second game in the doubles match of the team competition.
And you see here, you know, two very different, contrasting reactions. You know, Berkeley is very, very hyped up, whereas NYU is very, very composed. Wow. Point.
And in terms of emotion, there's benefits to both. You always want to stay level and even keel, but when you have the emotion that that Berkeley team has, you can ride the wave of feeling, and it can help drive you to points. And after the winner from Ellen in game one, we see a missed block attempt long, giving NYU the second game, 13-11. Look at that scoreboard, guys. 12-10, 13-11. We see there that block attempt, opening her paddle just a much. That heavy topspin ball she was.
These points are completely equal right now. Both games setting both teams to deuce. You know, right now I think Erica in that last game was predominantly the more offensive of the two, and especially with her backhand.
Also interesting to note, we pointed out once the tomahawk serve used from the right-handed player in this doubles match. I mentioned how that can be a difficult, or the serve can set up a more difficult return shot for your partner. Interesting enough to note there that tomahawk used on the 11-12 point score in that second game ended up with a wide forehand attack that Ellen had difficulty blocking and returning. We'll see if players make that adjustment and refrain from that serve perhaps in the future.
And Xiaoling's forehand goes just a little bit long on the table.
Oh, barely getting her paddle on that ball as it plays the backhand short. To the side of, it looked like she might have been aiming to the other side of the table there, Andy.
Yeah, I think she had her eye set on that spot, cross court. A little confusion as to whose turn it is to serve.
Well, Berkeley out to a quick 4-0 lead.
Wow. You see Ellen again, she's taking that forehand almost from like knee or hip level. And it's putting a tremendous amount of topspin on that ball.
Look how low she gets on that loop.
Yeah. NYU on the scoreboard now, as they're down 1-5.
A powerful backhand punch from Erica Tran. Really impressive power on this. Notice how low off the bounce the ball is taken, just above the. And that's going to really grant you maximum speed from your opponent's shot to be used on your return.
Heavy topspin from Michelle. Make it very, very difficult to return that ball.
Oh, that backhand attempt from Ellen. Quite get there. Strike one. A really very dominant performance so far from the Berkeley team in this game. As Berkeley extends their lead to 6 points, up 9-3. What do you think, Andy, have been the keys to their success in this third?
You know, right now, the way I see it is that NYU is actually trying to play Berkeley's game. And that's taking the ball a little bit further away from the table, whereas I think they should take it a little bit closer to the table. And, you know, as you see there, Xiaoling taking a high ball and just punishing Berkeley for that. NYU's strength is in that short game, those quick rallies, as we've seen before with Ellen and Michelle's game.
Yeah, when we end up in those long counter-looping bouts, it becomes difficult for NYU to keep up with Berkeley's power. We'll have 4 game points for Berkeley here in this third game. Look at that low return over the net. And they have it. Oh, broken ball. Broken ball on the point, resulting in a let for the play. The rule book will state that anytime a ball is broken, automatically a let will be called. As you see our umpire doing such a good job there.
Good point. Oh. And a little slip from Erica.
Yeah, it's almost like she wanted Ellen to hit a second one. And they close out this third game, 11-7, to go up 2-1 in the team competition. On the next table over, we can see Texas and Michigan even at 1 game apiece, with
Tim Hwang and Danny
Qiang of Michigan up 6-3 in this second game, now 6-4. We talked about Berkeley's presence away from the table and how they have those very, very strong, powerful loops. I think, though, there is also, in terms of team chemistry, a very good pairing of Ellen's looping presence, as we've seen, her incredibly low shots to the ground, mixed with Erica's very, very quick punches we've seen off the table.
It makes a very, very strong team.
Yeah, that different pace that you get from a loop long, being able to punch it quick to the table in response to their counter, is a deadly 1-2 punch to have.
And you know, in terms of that, it changes the varying amount of spin on the ball and the speed as well. And it's a rhythm breaker, making it very, very difficult to return that ball.
Definitely. In a game where at top levels we see balls travel 90 to 120 miles per hour, and on a 9-foot table, that doesn't give you much time to react.
No, not at all.
Little changes in speed make huge, huge differences in your timing.
Great
so
point.
Close. We'll see here on that replay, a beautiful rally.
Great blocks from Berkeley.
Both players controlling it all over the table, rotating in and out.
Flying backhand. There you go.
Lob that flipped up, and the second one not quite enough.
Berkeley comes back and takes this point.
Fun to see two players who are able to maintain a rally so far away from the table like that in doubles. And an attempt at a quick rip from the NYU player. Too much underspin on that, though. Put it right into the net.
Yeah. You see a little frustration on Erica as she taps her own head. And not quite connecting as she tries to go for that inside-out forehand. Timeout called by Berkeley, I believe.
A correction, it was, in fact, the NYU team who did make that timeout call.
Yeah.
Down 3-5 in this fourth game.
It's absolutely necessary right now. We do not want Berkeley to gain too much momentum as they will steamroll. Definitely.
We saw and remarked on earlier in the match some situations where we might have used timeouts slightly differently if we were coaching the teams.
Right.
But in this situation, I very much agree with the timeout call. Down 3-5, it's still early enough in the match to make a run. And you're only down 2 points, not far enough that the game's out of control. We'll let the players compose themselves and hopefully make a run at this fourth and then charge into an exciting fifth game.
good amount of topspin on that ball, sending that ball flying from Ellen's backhand. And it taps the edge of the table just a little bit, but enough to get a point.
And there's that tomahawk serve we've talked about. Again, resulting in an unsuccessful point for the Berkeley team.
And we see some frustration from the Berkeley team right now.
That's interesting. After that timeout, good use of the call. They've won 4 straight. Five straight.
Yeah. You see here, NYU is definitely manipulating Berkeley around right now and controlling them with those short off the bounce hits.
I would have liked to see a timeout called by Berkeley after 3 or 4 points of 7 from the NYU team.
They are leading. They are fending off 5 game points right now.
You'll see it just clip the edge of the table on that loop. More of a flip over the table.
Ooh.
Foul ball. We'll definitely talk about this more in the game break, if we do have one, assuming Berkeley does not overcome this 6-point deficit, about timeout use and how the properly and well-timed timeout by NYU really gave them the advantage in this game, and the lack of one by Berkeley cost them potentially. And there we have it. After two very, very close first and second game openers, we see a third and fourth not quite as close. You'll see here that loop, backhand loop opener attempt by Erica go long over the table.
I think Berkeley still has to try to extend their rallies out a little bit more in order for them to pretty much load up on those forehand and backhand shots and put an incredible amount of spin on it, making it difficult for NYU to return.
Definitely, and let's talk about that timeout misuse. Out of NYU's timeout, they were down 3-5 and opted for a timeout call, well timed. Berkeley then proceeded to lose 7 straight points and 8 of the next 9, eventually losing 11-6. Perhaps a timeout there really would have benefited them, as now we're in a 5th game of this doubles, and it's anyone's match.
Yeah, and that was a really good rally right there. And you see almost a chop block from Ellen.
And if both teams continue to play the way they are now, this 5th appears it'll be as close as the 1st and 2nd.
So much topspin on that ball. Very difficult to return. Great shot. And Ellen takes that inside-out forehand.
That wide tomahawk serve this time paying off for Berkeley as it spins left from our perspective off the table to the forehand corner of NYU, out of reach.
Smacking forehand from Erica. I'm sorry, backhand from Erica.
And that's that low, close to the table, right off the bounce punch we've talked about.
Yeah, very, very effective.
Yeah, mixed with that mid-distance loop from Ellen. That's a deadly 1-2. You'll see it here.
Oh! Down the line forehand and nobody home.
And that's the difficulty you run into doubles. Both players pushed far to the left of the table, and it's hard to run and recover.
(5-4), and we have a side change right now.
It is a big mental advantage. 5 points. Know that you've at least established a lead early enough to be that first to that rotation point.
See it as a landmark, if you will.
Definitely. When I used to play volleyball and we'd have best of 5 matches, with points to 25, we'd always be playing first to 5. We want to be first to 10. And ping pong in an even shorter game, those landmarks are even more important.
Good note.
Frustration from Erica on Berkeley. I hope she can have that under control. If not, they may be in trouble. And the score is even again.
6-6, game 5.
Have we seen a lead of more than 1 point yet?
I think it's been a 1-1 game the entire time.
Berkeley pulling ahead 1, up 7-6. You hear that cheering celebration. Berkeley hopes to ride their waves of emotion to this Game 5 match win. Strike right there. 8-6, and we have a 2-point lead to Berkeley.
Great serve from Michelle Law. Very, very deceptive.
And it's tied again. Will we see my favorite deuce in the 5th?
It's looking like it right now. Whoa.
Oh, perfect placement.
Yeah, right to that corner. Very, very difficult.
Hitting that white line.
Trying to compose himself right now.
We'll have 2 match points to the NYU team.
Do you think this would be a good time for a timeout?
And as they take it 11-8.
Well, great match.
NYU is the winner of this team match, winning 3-2 in the team match competition with an 11-8 win. You mentioned the timeout. I would have liked to see it at 8-9, personally. 8-10, it's so late in the game. And down 2, that's, you want to avoid letting situations reach that. And we'll be taking a brief media break. We'll be back real shortly with more team coverage. there is an exciting match going on table 2, as we have Danny